Did it start recording? Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk about motion since that's your next project. So I'm going to do a little demonstration about that, but I'm also going to do a demonstration about a short assignment that I want you guys to do for Thursday. In the beginning of the semester, I don't know if you remember, I showed you techniques where we used salt and sponges and there's saran wrap and what else I can't see on my tape. So we use these different materials to kind of experiment, or I showed you a demonstration. So for this project for Thursday, it's just going to be a small, it could be really tiny. It doesn't have to be super big, but I want you guys to do a quick painting using some of those. So I'm going to do a demonstration about how you would incorporate those into a loose painting, because the whole semester all of the projects are sort of geared toward representational art, and because watercolor is a lot about drawing. So I want to kind of like free us up a little bit so that for your motion project, if you want, you can use some of these techniques in it, because motion is, it's fluid. It's hard to show motion when you're being very meticulous about painting. So I think maybe this little exercise will help you guys. So let's see. I'm going to turn my camera over so you guys can see what I'm doing. Did I lose you? No, I think you're still there.
Yeah, we're good so far.
Okay, let me just adjust my screen here. Okay, I'm gonna have to, it's gonna take me a second. And I will do my best to like hold this up to the camera because my setup here isn't ideal. Okay, my brush. Okay, so first thing for motion, the first and the easiest way to show motion is to blur the back edge of an object. So I'm going to do just a simple sphere. Is that a good angle for you guys? Can you see?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a shadow, but there's
yeah,
nothing I can stop that. Oh, maybe there is. Let me move my light, actually. All right. Hopefully it won't fall in the middle of this. Okay, I think that's going to be better. All right, so the easiest way, like I said, is to blur the back edge of the object. So I'm going to paint this sphere using cadmium red. And then while it's still wet, so this is the easiest way. While it's still wet, you're just going to take your brush, dry it on a paper towel, and I'm going to, let's say the ball is moving to the left. Woo, super easy. The front edge will be more defined. You can put more color there. It could be darker, more detailed, and the back edge will be kind of blurred. So that's way number one to show motion. The second way I'll show you is you can do the same sphere. Gosh, that shadow is awful. Okay, hold on. I have to turn this light off because that's just not helping the situation. Okay. Now hopefully my hand won't be making, there we go. My hand won't be making a shadow on top of the painting. All right, so you can paint your sphere just as you would normally as if it were not in motion. And I kind of grabbed a little bit of crimson here. Think about shading. Remember that sometimes shadows are not necessarily just a darker version of that color. Sometimes they can be purple, so I'm adding some purple into that red ball so that it gives more interest rather than just a deeper version of red or black. I'm going to lift my highlight. And then to make it look like it's moving, you can do a slightly lighter version of the ball, but I'm only doing kind of like the back edge. And then it's going to be slightly lighter. It's not going to be as detailed. And I'm using a ball just because it's like the easiest thing to paint for a demo. And then I kind of soften the edge. And then each subsequent ball could be slightly lighter and slightly less detailed. So the last one's going to be like almost not visible. So that's way number 2 that you can show motion in a painting. Way number 3 is, so I've painted this little painting, little ball sitting there, and we're gonna pretend like it's rolling. So this is already dry. You can take either a brush or you can take a paper towel, wet paper towel, and I'm just gonna smear that back edge. So I don't know if you remember from the PowerPoint of images on Blackboard, there was one where there was a student or a person who was kind of jumping off of a cliff. And so the student actually painted the entire painting, and it was beautifully done. Like the back of the figure was really nice. And then he just took a sponge and he smeared the whole thing. And it worked really well to look like the guy was jumping off of a cliff. So it might be kind of hard for you to smear your painting, but that'll work to make it look like it's in motion. And the other way, the last way that I'll show you, and there are a ton of other ways, but the last way that I'll show you is rather than smearing the object, if you smear the background. So let's say this ball was flying, like someone threw it up and it's moving to the left. We can smear, so keep the object solid and kind of smear the whole background. Let's say you have a cloud over here, so I'm lifting a lot out of this. I'm gonna make the whole background kind of in this diagonal to show the motion and the direction of this ball. I wish I had painted more blue over here so I can do more of that. So these are 4 easy ways to show motion in your painting. And hopefully the next demo that I do in a second will help you kind of feel looser about painting in watercolor, because so far we've been very controlled. But do you guys have any questions about these 4?
No, I'm good.
Okay, makes sense. Do you have any other ways that you might create motion in your paintings?
I have
Have you
no
thought
idea.
about it?
Just kind of like what you showed, like blurring the back a little bit.
Right.
Like if somebody's walking, kind of blur behind them.
Right.
But I don't know any other way really.
So there was one of those images in the PowerPoint that had bicyclists. I think there was like a group of them and the whole background was blurred. I thought that was a pretty genius way of showing how fast they were moving. So yeah,
would you do that before? Like for that one, would you do that before or after? Like if you wanted the whole background behind them blurred, would you blur it all first, let it dry, and then do your bicycles? Right. Does that make sense? Does that question make sense?
So I would protect the bicycles as much as possible, like mask them if you have to. But do them last. Yeah, do the whole background, okay. Blur the whole background, let it dry, and then peel your masking fluid off, or just, if you painted around them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great.
I'd be so afraid of messing it up and getting around something small like that, and I'd get mad, throw it out.
It might happen, and that's okay. Okay, let's do this fun. To me, this is really fun, like trying to get loose in watercolor, because I'm more of a controlled person. I like to do things very. I'm a very detail-oriented person, so I like teeny brushes. When you do this exercise, I would prefer you to start with the biggest brush you have, so that you're not like jumping right into the detail. This painting is not about detail, so I'm going to show you some physical examples of how this might turn out. In my head, I like florals for doing this assignment. So it's going to be loose. So you're not really going to have like a really good sense of where one thing ends and one thing begins. It's kind of blurred, and that's okay. Okay, so pretty loose. You can also, since we've been doing a lot of representational work, you can use these techniques to just make an abstract little piece. It doesn't have to be something super representational at all. It doesn't have to be florals. You can also, if you wanted to, use these techniques. So this is just a student thing of a beach. So they used saran wrap here. So all you would do is put blue water or blue paint, stretch your saran wrap and stick it down on top of the water. I don't know if you can see that texture. And then for the waves, so they had a little bit of water and a little bit of blue paint and sprinkled salt on it, and it created a texture. On the back, here's another one doing the same technique. So pretty loose. Or you can use, here's another one. This is all sponge. This is salt, and then a fan brush. So loose is, I'm gonna keep repeating that because I want this to be very, very fun for you guys instead of super like anal about everything like I am. What?
I said I'll do my best.
Yeah, it's hard. This is like the hardest thing for me to do. So I understand if students have problems doing this. All right. So I would like to, let's see, get my tape. So the first thing in my head, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a vase down here, and then I'm going to do a bouquet of flowers up here. You can use tape, you can use masking fluid, but to me, tape is more freeing, let's say. So I'm going to take my blue tape. It could be Scotch tape, any tape you have. I'm just going to rip it down the middle so it's a little bit thinner. So I'm going to put it where I think my vase is going to go. I'm going to put a couple pieces. So let's say that's my vase. And maybe I'll do a thick piece right here for maybe there's a table line going off the edge of the paper. So table line, I can probably use another table line over there, but because this is meant to be more of an abstract representation of what flowers could be, maybe the table line is down here, kind of like a Cezanne piece where the table edges don't match up. Up here, I'm going to use my handy dandy page protectors or hole protector, whatever you call them. So I'm going to do hydrangeas, let's say. So hydrangeas are kind of, they have those like circular little petals. I know it's kind of hard to see where I put them. I'll bring it up to the camera in just a second. So I'm just going to put a few down. Another thing I'm going to do is if you have crayons or oil pastels, they are awesome because of their oil content. They will reject the watercolor, and you could paint right over them. So let's say I want to figure out, okay, if this is my vase, maybe I have a few leaves coming out of it like that. Maybe another one over here. Okay, so for now, I'm going to leave that. And I think for me, this is a good start. Now I'm going to start putting color on it. Where's my big brush? Okay, so use the big brush so that you're not getting too bogged down by detail. Let's see, my table could be, oh, this is a really dark color. Maybe my table is this like grayish purple. I don't really love that. I'm going to throw some red in there. So some dry brushing going on. I'm going to go to where the flowers are going to be. I'm going to put a lot of water. I'm going to put some color, and I'm going to throw in some salt. So notice how the oil pastel stays there. It's awesome. If you buy like not Crayola crayons, the oil content is different and there's not as much oil in there. So it doesn't reject as easily. So if you ever buy crayons for things like this, buy Crayola or like good brand name crayons. All right, so if this is where my hydrangeas are going to be, I'm going to put maybe some yellow, some pink. Oop, my pink turned orange. That's okay. So I'm just kind of blotting down color. I'm not really focusing on particular shapes. And because I'm holding it upright, it's running. That's okay. Kind of like that idea with this loose painting. All right. And then I'm going to put some phthalo blue up here. Get some green mixing for some more leaves later. Maybe there's some more leaves here. I really want like actual pink. Let's see, get my crimson. Maybe there's a big flower here, and I'm gonna put some salt on top of these wet areas so that after it dries, we have some nice texture. Okay. Let me get my salt and my saran wrap. Any kind of salt will do. If you have sea salt, that's awesome. If you have kosher salt, even better, because it has a flatter grain. I'm going to put some salt over here too. Maybe some right there. I'm going to leave it flat. So hopefully you guys can still see that. Can you see that okay still?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good, because otherwise the color's all going to run everywhere. Okay, so now that I'm going to let the salt kind of do its thing while I'm waiting, I'm going to take my sponge. So if you have a sponge, even if it's like a sponge from your kitchen that you're cleaning with, totally fine. I'm going to grab some, I have purple on my palette. And I'm going to kind of sponge in some purple over here. So have fun with this. This isn't, I'm not grading you on like skill really here at all, because this is just experimenting with these techniques so that maybe in the future you might want to use them. Okay, I'm going to do some sponging over here. All right, and then I'm going to use some bubble wrap. If you have bubble wrap, fine. If not, don't worry about it. Don't use it. You can use anything else, toilet paper, saran wrap, paper towels that have a nice texture, works really well. I'm going to put my bubble wrap right there and let it dry. I'm going to do a little bit more bubble wrap up here. So everything needs to be wet for the salt, the saran wrap, and the bubble wrap to all work. Otherwise, it'll just kind of flow right off the paper, and you won't get any texture from it. So I have a little bit of saran wrap here, which I kind of want to put down here, or maybe I'll put it over here where I can put another flower once this is done. So I'm going to take some blue. I'm just going to put some paint down. Whoa, that's really bright. I'm going to stick my saran wrap down. Sometimes you have to weigh the saran wrap down so it'll kind of stay. I'm going to do one more thing of saran wrap over there, and then I'm going to let it dry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this demo in another video, because this needs to dry for a little bit. So in like half an hour, I'll be able to post the rest of this demo. So this is a good start. I've figured out in my head what I want, where I want to put things. So I have a vase, you can put a table. It doesn't need to be a vase of flowers. You can do, like I showed you before, like the little walkway with trees. You can do an object that you're looking at your house. But all I want you to do is experiment with some of these techniques. So in like half an hour, I'm going to finish this painting and I'll post it in another video. Questions about this part of it?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Cool.
I'm good too.
All right. So for tonight, don't forget your critique is due and sketches for this next project. Think about how you might show motion in your image. You don't need to really tell me that for your sketches yet. But if you have questions about that and how you could show motion, let me know. Yeah, that's all I have.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Awesome.
Well,
Keep
thank
an eye
you.
out on the announcements. This little sketch thing is due on Thursday by midnight.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. All right.
All right, bye. Have a good day.
You too.
Have a good day. Thanks.